Have you ever noticed something weird happening with your paycheck? Like you're earning the same amount, maybe you even got a tiny raise, but somehow your money doesn't stretch the way it used to? You get paid on Friday, you feel good for about 20 minutes, and then by Monday morning, you're staring at your bank account, wondering how you went from feeling stable to feeling like someone siphoned your wallet while you slept. And the most frustrating part is nothing big changed. You didn't suddenly start buying yachts or feeding a secret gambling habit. It's the same life, the same bills, the same routines, but your paycheck feels smaller, not on paper, but in reality. Look, here's the thing most people never talk about. Your paycheck didn't shrink. The world around it just got bigger, louder, and more expensive while you were busy living your life. And because everything changes slowly, quietly, and in the background, you don't notice the leak until you're knee-deep in financial water, wondering where it's all coming from. Most people think inflation is just when milk goes up a few cents, but that's not what's actually happening. It's your entire life getting more expensive in ways you don't see until it hits your bank account like a brick. Stay with me, because once you understand what's really happening, everything that used to confuse you about your money suddenly makes perfect sense. My name is Michael, and I help people understand money the way school never did. Not with charts, not with buzzwords, not with some lecture about budgeting. Just the truth. The kind of truth that finally explains why you feel like you're working harder than ever, yet somehow falling behind anyway. And if this topic hits a little close to home, that's because it's happening to everyone. Here's where things actually get interesting. Your paycheck feels smaller every year, not because you're doing something wrong, but because the financial system is quietly designed to squeeze you without ever saying it out loud. Let's break this down. First, prices rise faster than paychecks. This is the part nobody talks about. Think about it. When was the last time your employer said, "Hey, inflation was 6% this year, so here's a 6% raise"? Never. It doesn't happen. You're lucky if you get 2%. Meanwhile, groceries went up 8%, rent went up 9%, and the cost of breathing feels like it increased 10%. Picture this. You walk into the grocery store with $100. A few years ago, that cart looked respectable. Now it looks like you're buying snacks for a toddler on a diet. The emotional consequence? You start blaming yourself. You think you're bad with money. You think you're overspending. Punchline? You're not overspending. The world is overcharging. Stay with me because it gets worse. Lifestyle inflation hits harder than price inflation. Lifestyle inflation isn't buying luxury stuff. It's just life getting progressively more inconvenient unless you pay more. Think about fast food. It used to be cheap, like embarrassingly cheap. Now you need $20 to eat something that tastes like regret. Another example, subscriptions. Everything you bought once is now rented forever. That software you used to pay $90 for, now it's $9 a month until you die. And the emotional consequence? You feel like you're getting nickel and dime to death because you are. Short punchline, one subscription isn't the problem. The 50 you forgot about are. Here's where it gets crazy. Taxes quietly rise even when tax rates don't. What does that mean? Simple. When the value of everything goes up, so does the amount of money the government takes from you. Even if your tax bracket stays the same, your property taxes increase, your sales taxes increase, your fees increase, your utilities tack on mysterious adjustments. Real life example? You buy a house and your mortgage stays fixed. Feels good, right? But then your property taxes creep up like a horror movie villain. Suddenly your affordable mortgage payment is $200 higher. Emotional consequence? You feel tricked. Punchline? You weren't tricked. You were outpaced. Next point, shrinkflation. This one's almost insulting because companies don't even try to hide it anymore. They give you 10% less product in the same package and act like nothing happened. The chips bag still looks full. The cereal box is still big. The content inside? Half the room is air. Real life example? You buy a pack of cookies and suddenly there are 2 fewer in the box. You didn't miscount. They stole them. Emotional consequence? You feel crazy, unsure if you're imagining things. Punchline? You're not imagining anything. They really shrunk the cookies. Most people miss this next one completely. The cost of mistakes has skyrocketed. Overdraft fees went from annoying to punishing. A parking ticket used to be $20. Now it's $80. A small late fee on a bill used to be $5. Now it's $35. Real life example? You forget to pay a bill by 1 day. Not even a whole day. 1 hour. Boom, $40 gone. Emotional consequence, you feel irresponsible even though the system is designed to punish normal human errors. Punchline, you're not irresponsible. The penalties are. This is the part nobody notices until it's too late. Your time is more expensive now. Commutes are longer. Processes take more steps. Waiting times feel like forever. Everything requires an account, a password, a verification code, a two-factor authentication, and a blood sample. Real-life example? Signing up for something that used to take 5 minutes now takes 20. The consequence? You're more tired, more stressed, and less productive. Punchline? When your time gets drained, so does your energy to make better financial decisions. Let's talk work. You're probably doing more for the same paycheck. Modern jobs sneak new responsibilities onto your plate like a buffet you didn't ask for. And no, they don't pay you extra for it. Real-life example? You were hired for 1 role, now you're doing 3. Emotional consequence? You feel like you're failing at everything because you can't keep up. Punchline? You're not failing, you're overloaded. Okay, here's the uncomfortable reality check. Most people don't actually calculate what they need to survive anymore. They just spend and hope it works out. Real-life example? You get your paycheck, pay rent, buy groceries, go out once or twice, and suddenly you're broke. You can't explain how because you didn't buy anything big. Emotional consequence? You assume you're bad with money. Punchline? You're not bad with money. You're surviving an economy that requires spreadsheets just to breathe. Stay with me. This next point hits hard. Debt is normalized now, completely normalized. Credit cards used to be backup plans. Now they're lifelines. Real-life example? Your car breaks down, and instead of paying cash, you put the entire repair on a card because what other option do you have? Emotional consequence? You feel ashamed. Punchline? The system is built on people feeling ashamed, so they never question the system. Here's another hidden paycheck killer people almost never think about. You're paying for convenience now in places where convenience used to be free. Grocery delivery fees, pickup fees, service fees, bag fees, processing fees, handling fees, convenience fees on tickets, facility fees on hotels, admin fees on things that don't even have admins. Real-life example? You try to buy concert tickets. The ticket is $40. By the time you check out, the total is $69. Did you get upgraded to VIP? No. You paid $30 so somebody somewhere could not send you paper tickets. Emotional consequence? You feel hustled. Punchline? You were. Let's talk about how companies shifted work onto you. This is one of the sneakiest reasons your paycheck feels smaller. You ever notice how you now do the work that employees used to do? You scan your own groceries, you check yourself in at the doctor, you bag your own food, you troubleshoot your own devices, you track your own packages, you book your own travel, all while prices increased. That's the part people miss. They made you the workforce and still charged you more. Real life example? You take something back to the store, they tell you to start the return online. Translation? We want you to do the labor, but we're still keeping the money a few extra days. Emotional consequence? You feel like your time is worthless. Punchline? To them, it is. Here's something even more frustrating. The price of stability has gone up. Not luxury. Stability, safety, peace. Think about housing. You want to live someplace that's not falling apart. Cool. That costs more. You want a car that isn't going to explode on the freeway? More. You want healthcare that doesn't leave you bankrupt from a sprained ankle? More. You want a neighborhood where your packages don't get stolen? More. Real life example, you try to move to a safer neighborhood and suddenly your rent jumps $600. Emotional consequence, you feel guilty for wanting basic security. Punchline, safety became a subscription. Another hidden factor, the cost of being reachable. 10 years ago, you didn't need multiple apps, multiple devices, cloud storage, upgraded phone plans, and constant software updates just to function in modern society. Now everything is digital. Everything requires storage. Everything requires data. Real life example? Your phone runs out of space because every app now takes a gigabyte and every photo is 6 megabytes. So now you need a new phone or cloud storage. Emotional consequence? You feel technologically behind. Punchline? You're not behind. They're designing it that way. And here's the part that stings a little. You're spending more because you're tired. This one hits everyone. When you're exhausted, you don't choose the cheapest option. You choose the easiest one. You grab takeout because you can't cook. You Uber because you can't deal with parking. You let subscriptions auto-renew because you don't have the energy to cancel. Real-life example? You order groceries delivered because you worked all week, and the thought of going to the store feels like running a marathon underwater. Emotional consequence? You feel wasteful. Punchline? You're not wasteful. You're burnt out. There's also a psychological tax created by uncertainty. You don't know what prices will be next month. You don't know what rent will be when your lease is up. You don't know whether your job is secure. That uncertainty keeps you constantly bracing for impact. And when you're bracing for impact, you make short-term decisions. Short-term decisions are almost always more expensive. Real-life example? You know you should buy groceries in bulk to save money, but you're worried your car might break down next week, so you keep all your money sitting in, checking, instead of getting ahead. Emotional consequence? You feel stuck. Punchline? You're not stuck. You're in survival mode. Let's talk about wages. Not the amount, the speed. Your income might be going up, but it's moving at the speed of a tortoise while your expenses sprint like they're training for the Olympics. You get a 50-cent raise and feel proud for a week. Then your rent increases $100 and wipes out your entire raise plus interest. Real-life example? You get a 3% raise. Inflation is 7%. Congratulations, you technically make more money while actually earning less. Emotional consequence? You question whether working harder is even worth it. Punchline? Hard work isn't the problem. The math is? Here's another one no one explains. The value of free time collapsed. Once upon a time, finishing work meant the day was yours. Now you finish work and still feel behind. There's always something you need to catch up on. Always something you forgot. Always something you need to research or fix or schedule. Real life example? You get home from work and instead of relaxing, you're battling a pile of adult tasks. The cost? Your brain never resets. The consequence? You make more rushed financial choices. Punchline? Exhausted people spend more money. Let's go even further. Companies figured out how to turn every inconvenience into revenue. Airports? Fees. Hotels? Fees. Tickets? Fees. Banks? Fees. And the worst part? You feel powerless because everyone is doing it. Real life example? You pay a resort fee at a hotel with no resort. Emotional consequence? You feel scammed. Punchline? You were. And probably the most brutal part of all, you're comparing yourself to a version of adulthood that no longer exists. Your parents bought homes on one income. Your grandparents bought homes younger than you. And you're here wondering why you can't get your life together? Real life example? You're 30, renting, and feel like a failure. Emotional consequence? Shame. Punchline? You're comparing your life to an economy that died 20 years ago. All of this is why your paycheck feels smaller, even when the number hasn't changed at all. The world simply inflated around you, quietly, consistently, aggressively. And because you're a normal person trying to do normal things, you feel the squeeze everywhere. Look, you can't stop the cost of living from rising. You can't stop shrinkflation. You can't rewrite tax laws. And unless you secretly own an oil company, you can't control global inflation either. But you can control one thing: how you respond. Not emotionally, strategically. Here's the shift. You stop fighting the world with the same old rules. You stop assuming you can budget your way out of an economic tornado. You stop thinking you're the problem. You start treating your income like a tool, not a life sentence. You build skills that raise your earning power faster than inflation. You automate your savings so you don't rely on motivation. You track your spending not to judge yourself, but to stop leaks you didn't know existed. You build cushion, you build options, you build breathing room, and you stop expecting your paycheck to do everything. Paychecks were designed to maintain you. Wealth is built through what you do outside of them, because here's the simple truth. Your paycheck didn't shrink, the world inflated. But you can inflate too. Your skills, your earning power, your financial awareness, your habits, your options. You don't need to keep up with everything. You just need to stay ahead of yourself. And when you finally understand how the system squeezes you, you stop letting it. You don't need to look rich. You need to stop being stressed.